We'll now look at the cruise retail sector in focus, and I'd like to introduce you to our esteemed host partner, Starboard President and CEO, Lisa Bauer, who will give today's keynote presentation. Lisa joined Starboard in 2019, and her career has been rooted in the travel industry, with experience across the airline, hotel, cruise line, and leisure travel industries. The ongoing crisis and new world order are increasingly changing what is considered as luxury, and Lisa will define what can be considered as a luxurious experience for today's cruise guest. Please welcome Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bauer, the President and CEO at Starboard Cruise Services. Starboard enjoys the privilege of being the world's largest cruise retailer, and we've used over 60 years reimagining cruise retail. And we're also the global market leader with 8 prestigious global partners, and we operate on over 72 ships, and of course, incredibly proud to be part of the LVMH family. Being part of the family, we have access to global resources that can really help us drive innovation at sea, as well as having access to leading luxury retail insights, and of course, great collaborative partnerships with LVMH brands. With all the uncertainty we've been managing throughout 2020, we wanted to take this time, gathered with you all, our valued current and potential brand partners, to share some thoughts that may help as we mutually plan for the restart of our industry. Some themes I look forward to sharing with you today include insights about the guest mix we're likely to see on board once the ships start operating, as well as examples of some of the rich data we've been able to mine. And also, trends that are picking up momentum informing on the consumer's mindset and expectations. And finally, new initiatives we're really enthused about bringing to sea. Our goal? Inspire you as much as we're inspired about the future of cruise retail and how together, as partners, we can take all of these inputs and get back to the business of growth. Let's start with the guest. As we all know, the guest is at the center of all that we do, being at Starboard, you, our valued brand partners, and the cruise lines. Each cruise line has done an outstanding job creating their differentiated approach to the cruise experience that attracts a very specific guest demographic. I thought it might be helpful to talk through some of these unique points of differentiation to help you all identify opportunities in your offerings and experiences for both current and potential cruise line business. Let's start with our cruise partners in the large ship segment. First, Royal Caribbean. With the largest ships at sea, Royal has positioned themselves around the concept of adventure. They've created many first at sea experiences, including the Flow Rider and the Bionic Bar. The guest mix tends to be over 50% family, and they have a global footprint of itineraries with a strong presence in Asia. Celebrity Cruises leans into a modern and luxurious cruise experience. Their ships are known for their stunning design as well as culinary excellence. And their guest mix is predominantly affluent couples, and their itineraries are all over the world with the exception of Asia. Carnival, of course, is known as the fun ships. They're appreciated by their guests for offering an excellent cruise experience at a good value for money. It's well worth noting that while value is important, the data shows that they spend on luxury brands and products. The majority of Carnival guests are from North America. Our other partner, Norwegian, was the first cruise line to introduce the concept of freestyle cruising, giving guests the opportunity to dine at whatever time they wanted. Norwegian also has the youngest fleet of ships of the major North America brands. As you might expect, the guest mix tends to skew towards active and social, with over 50% of the guests traveling as families. On the international side, Costa differentiates itself by offering Italian hospitality at sea, delicious cuisine and fine wines, catering to a significantly European guest mix, balancing couples and families. Costa also has a global footprint of itineraries with a strong presence in Asia. And Dream Cruises is the first Asian luxury cruise line and offers an experience with ships purpose-built specifically for the Asian guest. As many of you know firsthand, one of the most unique specifications is much larger onboard retail footprints than most other brands. Their guests are affluent Asians, including a high percentage of casino players. Turning to our luxury cruise brand partners, there are a few aspects of this segment that are common. The ships are all significantly smaller, the itineraries are worldwide, and they visit many smaller exotic ports of call, and the guests are very, very affluent. It is interesting to understand how the brands still offer points of differentiation that attract unique types of guests. Crystal emphasizes luxury as personal, top-notch of course. Silver Sea appeals to their guests' wanderlust and positions themselves as feeding the guests' desire for discovery. For guests of both brands, offering something unique and memorable in the shops is the key, since these guests access to luxury all the time. And while that was just scratching the surface, I hope it piqued your curiosity to evaluate your brand's unique offerings and experiences and where it could align for future growth. The perspective I shared is unlikely to be exactly what plays out as the industry restarts. We've been in constant contact with our cruise line partners to understand the nuances we can expect. So let's talk about that. When operations restart, the industry expects a higher proportion of loyal past cruisers. This is powerful for a couple of reasons. First, they are loyal to the cruise line and feel tremendous affinity for the differentiating experiences of their cruise brand, which we've just reviewed. What does this mean for all of you in Starboard? The same behavior to come back to their trusted cruise brand is likely to play out in their search for trusted brands in the shops as well. The uncertainty of nearly a year of dealing with COVID has resulted in people taking comfort in brands they know they can trust. Interestingly though, it's important to note that about 1 in 3 people have also tried new brands this year. So we see opportunity to introduce new brands to guests on board. Another behavior dynamic we can expect is that loyal cruisers will likely be ready to shop sooner than a first-time cruiser, who usually takes the first few days just familiarizing themselves with the ship. Loyal cruisers also keenly understand the value proposition of tax and duty-free, which should also bode really well for always critical categories of spirits, beauty, and fine jewelry and watches. Loyal guests tend to skew older than the ship average. The encouraging news here is that guests between 40 and 60 years old tend to spend more on retail than guests under 40. In addition to higher proportions of loyal cruisers, the industry is expecting to draw higher portions of casino guests. The data here also indicates encouraging opportunities where players and their traveling companions typically spend more on board than the average cruise passenger. Another segment we believe will continue to represent a significant percentage of cruise guests are those celebrating a special occasion. We have incredible opportunities to reach them and, in partnership with our brands, present special gift offerings, whether to give to their loved one or as a special gift for themselves. We already have the benefit of engaging with consumers when they are in their happiest, on vacation, and couple that with an opportunity to be part of a celebratory moment with memorable gifts, and the opportunities are truly endless. For those of you already doing business at sea, and hopefully with Starboard, I hope these insights about the guest mix give you ideas of what we can do in partnership to maximize the business opportunity. In addition to the guest mix insights, consider this. There are a number of factors that should help drive sales. Initial itineraries are expected to have limited port stops. This will result in additional shopping hours on board, coupled with sales associates eager to connect with guests and their motivations to purchase. Also, a significant portion and percentage of guests will have hundreds of dollars of onboard credits when they board. This is money in their pocket that history has shown they definitely choose to spend a healthy amount of it on shopping on board. Combine these factors with the data we're seeing where operations have begun is that while there are lower total guest counts on board, those that are on board are shopping more. Conversion rates are higher and the average spend is strong. So we can see the potential opportunities as we understand more about the guest mix expected on board. How we deliver the shopping experience to them will incorporate some of what we've always done exceedingly well on board, plus new ways to engage. One very high-touch method we've already begun to implement are private shopping appointments. Partnering with the cruise lines, we are introducing the concept pre-cruise, which has an added benefit of generating more awareness and demand for shopping. Service levels on board are already a strength. We have the opportunity to provide one-on-one moments to present your special brands and products. I don't know how much I told you all about this, but I can definitely attest to being part of a statistic showing significant increases in online browsing and shopping. I'm sure you've all been reading this research. A few points we see that are very relevant to our business are: U.S. luxury consumers are 46% more likely than the general population to shop online post-COVID. There's been a significant increase in consumers using BOPIS, or buy online and pick up in store. And those doing it now, 67% intend to continue post-COVID. We're using these types of insights to inform the acceleration of digital-enabled shopping solutions to offer to our guests at sea. We are very excited about digital expansion, offering guests convenience with another shopping option, and extending our brand partners the opportunity for additional content and product exposure and distribution. At the same time that we offer guests more opportunities to engage with shopping, we know that guests will continue to enjoy the physical experience of shopping in our great stores. First, we have the wonderful competitive advantage of our sales associates. Friendly, knowledgeable, and able to develop a relationship with their customers over the course of the voyage. A very different sales experience than a more rushed airport environment. Second, our customers are on vacation, and shopping is an integrated part of their experience. Couple that with the unique nature of being at sea for days with a lot of free time, a wonderful, engaged, captive audience. Discovering destination mementos, picking up gifts for loved ones, strolling around the ship on a relaxing sea day to pass the time, browsing in the shops will be a key part of their enjoyment. Third, there is compelling data that over 80% of consumers still prefer to make higher ticket purchases, such as fine jewelry, in a physical store. While they're shopping, as you'd expect, ensuring our guests' health and safety is the #1 priority. We are ready. We're supporting protocols for capacity, shop sanitization, masks, social distancing, and mirroring what we're seeing on land. In store, we will showcase our best of product offering, as well as introduce the concept of limited time experiences. This concept offers brands and Starboard alike the opportunity to test and learn while providing the guest newness as well as the urgency to purchase based on limited availability. The concept works for all categories and flexes based on destinations we visit, cruise line demographics, including luxury. Yes, we've all been navigating a very uncertain year, but this global crisis has created the opportunity to rethink our business, how we serve our partners and guests, and how we actively create the company culture we want in a powerful way that I believe will serve Starboard as well as our brand and cruise line partners very well when we're on the other side of this. I trust that these insights I've shared, combined with the new initiatives we're excited about, will be mutually beneficial as we plan for the restart of our industry.
Thank you, Lisa. Really great presentation, and we've already getting very many questions through from our audience. And well, let's start with a few questions from them, I guess. We now have, obviously, you've mentioned the health and safety procedures, and just to lay some, I guess, some fears at rest. There's been a few questions about the safety and testing procedures in the industry, and obviously this might be a question that's more for the cruise lines, but working with your partners, what are you seeing in terms of is there uniform procedures throughout the industry? What is the commitment to these safety measures, and will there be vaccination certificates used as a tool to relaunch cruises for both staff and guests? Is that something you're seeing?
So first of all, the cruise industry has always had the utmost focus on safety, the safety of customers and crew. It's always been the #1 thing. And COVID has only further accelerated that. And I do think that across the industry, there will be the consistency. And I think it will be one of the safest places to be when you think about the fact that it's 100% testing for COVID before anybody can board the ship. Before the crews go on board, they're being quarantined for 14 days. Before anybody will be able to leave the ships, they'll be tested again. The shore excursions are only those that are approved by the cruise lines. You know, everything that's been done with the air filtration systems on board, with rethinking the food and beverage experiences and large gatherings on board, the social distancing, the use of masks, the intensive cleaning. So I can't personally think of anywhere else that you go. No airport, no plane, no hotel, no theme park has any kind of safety protocols that are that comprehensive that are in place. And not only that, that will be audited, that will be, you know, each of the ships will be certified, the training that will go on for all of the crews. So I believe the message is that the cruise lines are building upon their foundation of safety. And, you know, from a customer perspective, I think people will feel very safe in the fact of it's almost basically cruising in your own bubble at that point. So, you know, the cruise lines have had to put additional protocols in place, like having emergency abilities in each of the ports of call that they go to. You know, if they do have an issue with a guest, that's all set up ahead of time. It is so comprehensive. I would take up all our time going into detail on what the message are, but the headline is that the safety protocols are extremely advanced and that each of the cruise lines is diligently putting those in place for the safe return to sea.
Brilliant. Hopefully that will reassure some of those that ask those questions regarding health and safety. And now moving on to more about the experience and the retail offer on board. As we saw in your presentation, you work with several cruise lines, all offering a different experience, catering to a different PAX profile. But from speaking to your partners, what are you seeing now in terms of these passenger segments and their return to cruising? Where do you think we might see the first shoots of recovery geographically and in terms of the advanced bookings that, you know, they're getting in?
Yeah, so, you know, if we start in Asia, really where the first ships restarted, we have one ship and we'll have two within the next 2 weeks that are sailing in Singapore, but they're doing cruises to nowhere. And, you know, the guests seem to be enjoying it quite well. And, you know, that's operating. One of our other ships is operating out of Korea with cruises to nowhere, but because of the restrictions, we're not able to open the stores. And, you know, I do see in Asia, there will be a continued growth of cruises to nowhere, at least until the time that some of the other countries will open up. But the cruises to nowhere have definitely started in Asia. And then, of course, in Europe, there are some limited offerings that are happening. But because of the second round of, you know, tightening with the lockdowns in Europe, there's been some challenges with occupancy there. But you know, we're continuing to watch that. The guests that are on board are certainly enjoying, but it is very limited at this time, and it's was a lot more able to go to some different places, with Costa being able to go to France and Greece, but because of, again, the lockdown and the second round, that has not had the ability to continue. In terms of the United States, we talked just a little bit about the CDC, and what I would say in answer to your broader question is it's definitely not going to be a demand issue in the United States. It's really going to be about the timing and when the cruise lines are able to go through the recall. But at a very high level on average across cruise lines, these statistics are compelling. So 70% of the customers that have booked for 2021 with those advanced bookings are cash bookings, meaning they did not use a future cruise credit. 60% of the customers that are booked are repeat cruisers. They're loyal cruisers. The good news with that is it's 60% loyal, but the even better news about that is the other 40% are people that are new to cruise or new to a specific cruise line. That's pretty incredible in this environment. And the third thing is, of all of those customers that were issued a future cruise credit, 50% of them have already rebooked. So, you know, I think in terms of certainly not being overly optimistic, but the data and what the advanced bookings are saying across all the cruise lines are compelling. You know, one of our cruise line partners opened up 2 ships and they sold out within 3 hours. You know, some of the luxury players that are opening for 2021 and 2022 world cruises are selling out. So The message that I would really say is, between what's happening with the governments and the ports and regulatory, it's, really wait and see of when the restart happens. But the demand is there from a customer standpoint. And I think once we are able to sail, I think it's going to be very positive for all of our partners.
Absolutely, that sounds very promising. Some of the questions that have come up are around the category mix post-COVID, and how different do you think that will be, considering there will be a lot of change, but as you mentioned, there's still loyal consumers on board, but then how are you also going to be targeting those that are new to cruise and balance the category mix for both passenger profiles?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I also believe it varies greatly by region. So what we do in Asia will be very differently than what we do in Europe or, really in the US and North America. What we've seen in Asia and what we expect in Asia that we've learned from our, LVMH insights and data is the customer that's coming back in Asia is a younger customer. And that there are fewer people that are spending, but those that are spending more. And the interesting theme that we're looking at there is a little bit of price deflation and a little bit more of pressure on value, and specifically in the beauty category. So that's something we really want to have a deep understanding of. It's not to say that the other categories won't continue to perform, because Asia is incredible. We know our Asian customers spend really well, but it's a new thing that we want to make sure we really understand that's happening in Asia. In Europe, in our European customers, a lot of it's about discovery and destination, and how do we really bring that to life, and also really understanding the value there. And in North America, it's really about that customer is looking for exclusives. They're looking for, what can I get on board this ship that I can't get on an island, or I can't get at home, or I can't order online and Amazon. They're looking for exclusive offerings in that travel retail category. They're also looking for things that are deeply authentic to a destination that they're going to, something that they can't get at home. And so, the pace, that's always been something there, but really what we're seeing in the research and, as we're talking to guests and people that are coming back, it's how do we find those exclusives so it doesn't become about a price point and say, oh, I could get this at home at Macy's, or I could get this, Michael Kors bag here. It's really about how do we offer those things that are exclusives. And in terms of category, we've definitely, based on the research, are seeing a shift into food and beverage. More so, again, and we believe that offers a great opportunity for experiences with pairing food and beverage and further integrating with the cruise lines, and really trying to bring that to life. So we'll have a close mix on how those categories are evolving. But as I said in my opening remarks, customers are still coming back to those trusted brands that they know and love. And I think it's a balance between introducing some of the new trends consumers are looking for, and also these limited time experiences where we test things on board and we see the consumer reaction to it. And if it works, let's do more of it. And if it doesn't, let's try something else.
Great. And, obviously, you've mentioned it's great to see, you talking about new brands coming up and against campaigns of major brand houses for the cruise sector. And there's been a lot of interest in how brands can get there with you, with the cruise line, the cruise retailers. And I guess that's a question about really what sort of support you're looking for from brands, and what you're looking for in terms of newness and innovation at the moment.
Yeah, no, our partners all do such an incredible job, and we're really trying to look at it through the guest lens and how do we make it about an experience. So all of our partners, our retail partners, do a great job with their branding, with their digital, with their training for their staff, with the way they position their product. And what we want to do is just bring that to life on board. So we really want to be a brand extension for them, and we want to have consistently present their brand and figure out how do we use these new digital resources we have to, you tap into the digital resources they may have to get them more brand exposure. and then also tap into the training programs that they have so that we make sure our sales associates that already do a great job are really knowledgeable on their products. And how do we present their products in the best way? And how are we, storytelling, talking about their products? An example I would use is Veuve Clicquot. They're doing a major program right now celebrating Madame Clicquot and women's empowerment. How do we tell that story? And so we really want to understand what our brands, really what they want to do, what's important to them, how are they innovating with their brands, and then how do we partner to bring that to life on board. So I think it's about having a deep understanding of what our brand partners want to accomplish with their particular product, and then what resources do we have, so when we partner together, we truly bring that on board and we create it as an experience versus just a transaction.
Great. Okay. You mentioned digital there a few times, and obviously you in your presentation you talked about pre-engagement, pre-cruise with the personal shopper service that you're offering, and I guess that ties into omnichannel. And if you can tell us, if there is really a place for omnichannel in cruise retail, and with limited internet connection when at sea, how can you offer and ensure a seamless digital shopping experience? How will that work with the whole setup?
Yeah, I think it goes back to really being present wherever the customer wants you to be. So, the idea of being able to talk to the customer pre-cruise, to just either have them pre-order a product or just become aware of the incredible duty-free and value and the offerings that are on board, or set up a private appointment for shopping if they want to do it. I think that that's really important, and starting that level of engagement. And on board, it'll be up to the customer. Do they want to come into the shop and have that great experience with our sales associates? Do they want a private appointment? Do they want to see what's available on the in-state room TV so they have a better idea of what's happening? Do they want to be able to go onto their phone and, do a transaction? Do they want to interact with one of our kiosks? Really, however that customer wants to do business, we need to be prepared and have a platform for that to happen. And I also think that the pace of development and change post-COVID is a multiplier at least of 10 of what we saw before that. I think the cruise lines are all doing a nice job trying to figure out internet and connectivity and things like that. And it's going to continue to develop. We just need to be prepared, and we need to be innovating so that those experiences that the customers have are really what they're looking for.
Absolutely. And talking about experience, Starboard has always prided itself on the unique retail experience that you offer in partnership with brands and suppliers. Is there still a place for these? How are you planning them? How are we going to see the cruise retail experience evolve in the near future? Are you still offering these retail experiences? Is there a space for virtual experiences, for example?
So while experiences have always been important, and especially that, relationship with our sales associate, the experiences moving forward, I think, are going to be fundamentally more important than they've ever been. That degree of personalization, that idea of storytelling, the idea of virtual, magic mirror makeups. I was just in our distribution center yesterday, and we were testing one of the new magic mirrors and the ability to try on makeup without using testers, right? So post-COVID, you might not have testers initially, but you have a makeup mirror where you can try it on. So from my perspective, we are putting more of an emphasis on experiences than we ever have. In fact, we have, an entire team that's literally focused on partnering with our brands to bring that to life even more powerfully than we have before. So the message is, not only is there a place for it, if any of our brand partners want to come out and test or share something, or someplace where they've had a success, we are raising our hand and saying, bring it on, because we believe the experience is surprising our customers, really is going to be more important than it ever has been.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Obviously, you're going to be returning to answer some more questions during our panel discussion later. So if our audience does have any more questions for Lisa, do send them through. But thank you for now, and we will see you back here in a little while and move on to our next presentation.